Hey guys, welcome. Glad you guys could join us today for another couple of chapters of Weirwood by Choice of Games. Let's just get the game on the screen, shall we? So yeah, we are now in chapter 5, the Town Council. We had a very busy couple of chapters yesterday. um, with all kinds of new things for this run. Let's see here. We have decided, for the most part, to flirt with Mr. Wren Grufford. He has been intriguing this round. When last time we found him quite insane. We are headed towards, or we have become woodbound, and have started a relationship with a weir. We are doing tasks for them, tasks we will not know of until it is upon us to do them. Very mysterious tasks, and we have been pretty much happy to talk to everybody. We've even been flirting with our childhood bestie a little bit, and we have lost all of our memories from the ages of we were born to the age of 10. Oopsie daisies, we only have 2 years to remember everyone and prosper. Because we left for the city at 12. So, busy times. We also raced in the chariot races, the yearly chariot races, made some money. We have done quite a bit of things, but we've also managed to knock our health down a little bit. So here we are on the quality screen. Um, as an overview, we are just a bit charismatic and slightly less intelligent than that. We are quite bold, the boldest of bold. We are a bit empathetic as well, and we're starting to get a little more shady than we are truthful. Ooh. Um, our health has taken a turn with being woodbound. There are consequences for failing in our tasks, but we are accomplished and a bit sporty as well. So these are looking pretty healthy, nothing too low. Our reputation around town is that we're, for the most part, pretty respectable. Not the most respectable person in town, but certainly not the least. We have a tiny bit of influence, and we are slightly dangerous. Not very dangerous, but slightly dangerous. And we are woodbound. Not the most heavily woodbound member, but definitely woodbound. And we have a bit of weird sense, which is our understanding of magic. I'm sorry that you're fighting with Automod Winter Fairy. I'm sorry. Let me yeah, here we go. There we go. I fixed it. I fixed it. Just give me a moment when those happen. Just let me know that it happens. But yes, so weird sense is our magic sense, and we have just a tingle, just a tiny bit. We are not at all a philosopher, or rather, we're neutral on that. As for our many relationships, we are in good for the Weirs. We're in good standing at the moment. We are intrigued by the Daemons, and they've clocked us as well. Our bestie, Hippolyta, likes us quite. We are in good with our bestie, and she is married, but that has not stopped anything between us at all. Colonel Ajax is one of the magistrate and on the town council. He is fond of us. Lady Eugene has also clocked us a little bit, so she does not think unwell of us, but she only slightly thinks of us well. Mr. Wren Grufford is our current voted in main love interest here, and he likes us quite a bit. His cousin, Miss Danae Grufford, is fond of us as well, though we are not pursuing her in this run. We did last run. We did not save her from her fate ultimately, but we did pursue her for a little while. Mr. Alcindor Wakeforth, a person, not a Miss or a Mrs., is also thinks well of us. We're on friendly terms at the very least, but we're not close. And then there's Mistress Yocasta Smythe, married, gossip, And she actually thinks quite well of us as well. Last run, we were hated enemies. This time, she's not so bad. Also, we have a small fortune in Spina, which is the main currency of the game. So, may or may not last us very long, but we're doing what we can to gain some funding. So that is our stats, and here we are in chapter 5, the town council. So yeah, it's been crazy. Been a little crazy. Um, but we are excited. So, as we all know, choose your own adventure story. You guys will be helping me choose the adventures. Weirwood, by choice of games, is a Regency styled story with magic and mystery involved. And now that we're a good halfway through, it is time to see what the town council is up to. In the dim reaches of the night, your heart lurches as if pulled by an invisible hook. The bargain has summoned you, and an audible voice is calling you, urging you to go outside and pick up the strange package wrapped in roots and brambles left in a furrow. You see it in your mind's eye as clearly as if through a spyglass. Where you will take it, you have no way of knowing. The voice threatens to wrap around your gut, shaping you to its will, but you hesitate, and surprisingly can do so. You are not wholly unprepared for it. It appears you have more awareness of the wood bonds and the magic of the bargain this time. The faster you fulfill your end of the bargain, the faster you can get rid of its claws. And yet, this is a unique opportunity to attempt to learn more about the magic that binds you and the nature of bargains themselves. What will you do? So we have some options. We can resist this calling to exert our own will. We can hurry the process along, uh, which is to say, undo our bindings even more quickly. We can go along with the process slowly to learn about the magic that is hooked into us, or we can resist the magic to learn more about it as well. Um, Back to the stats. We are bold, but our weird sense is really low. So, us resisting this calling, not necessarily a good idea. Option 1, I would not recommend. Option 2, I mean, if we just want to get through this and not worry about it, that's the way to go. Option 3, which seems to be the majority vote here, um, will be easier, and 4 will be very much harder. So it looks like the 3s have it. We are going to go along with the process slowly to learn more about the magic. When the first tinglings of the magic hit you, you pause. This is a unique opportunity to investigate the magic of the wood bond itself, but you must be canny. Moving slowly, you do not resist when the bite of woodwill and woodsong wrap around you, but examine the new sensations. They appear to be coming from the air itself, from the ground, carried on magical currents. They also appear to be coming from within your heart and stomach. Perhaps the wood never left you after all. You were changed from the moment you took a step down that path, perhaps. While your awareness is still your own, you go outside and pick up the package. It drips magic and the strong scent of pine sap. You inhale deeply, memorizing the scent. It is different from before. The hook in your gut tugs twice, but gently, as if the magic is aware that you are obeying willingly. It is pulling you towards the east. Into the dusky twilight you go, walking deliberately in the same rhythm as the tugging. The magic leads you along the roads until you reach a small plot by the river at the edge of town. You are to bury the package there. Slowly, with a scientific curiosity, you unwrap it, lengths and lengths and lengths of dirty fabric that fall about your feet. A terrible sense of foreboding settles upon you. You pull away the last of the cloth. I agree, Trav. We have never really had the chance to raise that sense. So, yeah, now that we've really got an opportunity to to feel into it, so to speak. This is a good time. You blink down at what you see. It is not what you expected, if you could have formulated any hypothesis whatsoever. Your eyes cannot quite make out its shape. It is knitted darkness surrounding a single reddish seed. It pulses, warm to the touch. A searing pain rushes through your fingers and you drop it. The magic seizes you again now, stronger than before. You try to memorize the spot in your mind, but in the darkness it is difficult to make out any landmarks, and you were not allowed to see where the thing fell. Perhaps this is part of your task, for the pressure subsides, gentle enough now to merely guide you home. As you step through the gates of your property, however, you feel the wood's grip ebbing. With it, a grim satisfaction fills you. All this has not been for nothing. Little by little, the bargain is coming to its close, and you are all the richer in understanding for it. Night draws close around you and receives you in its arms. Sunlight streams through your window. You've overslept. Bruno knocks on your door, enters, holding a letter. Excuse me, Miss Eyre, a summons has come. Who is it from? You ask, wincing at the memory of the last summons to the chariot races. It is from Mr. Hallwood, Mr. Anthony Hallwood. Your lawyer. It is likely important. You struggle out of bed. I had better go then. Thank you, Bruno. He nods and places a pot of chocolate on the table, along with a plate of rolls, butter, and preserves. I thought you might prefer to go soon, he says. So, how do we respond to Bruno, our stalwart and loyal manservant, the only servant we really have in the house? Do we nod, smile, and say nothing? Do we tell him that he must not presume things such as this, which is terribly rude, in my opinion? Do we tell him that once again he has saved us with his thoughtfulness and his forethought? Or do we thank him for his attentiveness and compliment him to say that he's good at knowing? The threes currently have it. Trav and Inu have voted, so feel free to let me know if we all agree. Looks like three it is. Once again, you have saved me. Bruno's face beams. He bows and departs. You examine the letter. Hallwood writes, there is a meeting of the town council today, and I should be glad if you would join. It would prove beneficial to our cause. The meeting is a good chance to impress the most important members of the council and to finally speak with Roland Grufford. You have breakfast, dress hastily, and depart to the town hall. Hi, Con Foxfang. Yes, this is a choose your own adventure. We are currently playing Weyrwood by choice of games. This is a Regency style story with elements of fantasy and mystery involved. But it is very much a choose your own adventure, and I ask chat to choose for me 100% of the time. Sometimes they don't, but mostly they get to pick. So we are currently just in chapter 5. You have missed quite a bit, but the VODs are up on my channel if you want to go back and see what has gone on. And we are going to the town hall for a meeting. So settle in, and I hope you enjoy the ride. To the town hall we go. The town hall is a slightly comical building in the neoclassical style. The architecture is not entirely successful. The portico conjures the image of an acorn rather than the temples of antiquity. The meeting is held in an ornate, richly paneled room lined with books. The office of records and the municipal, and you catch a glimpse of the leather-bound volumes before the door swings shut. The room is filled with well-attired gentry milling about. You spot Colonel Ajax, of course, as magistrate. He could hardly be absent from such an occasion. His countenance is solemn, as usual, but his presence acutely intent behind his mask of formality. There are others as well, though. Lady Eugene is standing by a potted fern, speaking animatedly with a person in a mauve riding coat. You recognize a few other important persons by sight, if not by name. Most are much older than you, and from their dress and habit, clearly well established in the town. That gentleman over there could be the master of ceremonies. The lady there you saw dancing a quadrille at the assembly a few nights ago. How do you feel in this important company? Hi, Count. Hi, Count from Zero. Nice to have you in. Welcome, welcome. Yes. Well, unfortunately, you can't read this cover to cover because it is a video game. You can't just like stick your fingers in place and go back and pick the other thing. You have to like go through it all and see what happens. But we are enjoying ourselves. So, as for the choice that we have before us, of how we feel in this important council company, we can feel quite at ease and at home. Um, though I might remind you all that in our first chapter, we did pick that we are a gambling type person with debts. So we're not necessarily at home amongst the high end of gentry. We could, of course, number two, feel slightly out of place, seeing as we are gentry ourselves, but not necessarily very good at it. We could be excited to learn more about the running of Prosper, seeing as we have spent many years away, and we left Prosper when we were still only 12 to go to school in the city. So the ins and outs of Prosper are still somewhat a mystery to us. Or as you can see, the vote has already started to to be. We feel well positioned to learn secrets and gain power, and be a little bit shady, which we're not really great at yet, but we are a bit more shady than not shady these days. So please, 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat. As you can see, the 4s are currently winning, but vote however you like. We should never admit to it, Count, but we should always be aware that we are. But please, throw your vote in. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Are we at ease? Are we out of place? Are we excited to learn? Or are we wanting secrets and power? So I have 2 votes for 4, a vote for number 2, and a vote for number 3. The 4s currently have it, unless somebody else wishes to switch. Trav, it seems that you must vote either 4 or 3. Please let me know, which way should we lean today? 4 or 3? While I grab a drink. Oh. I'm gonna go with 3. Secrets and power are all well and good, but don't start with me, Trav. You know that chat runs the game for me here. I don't think we'd ever admit to it. Count. I don't think we would. Your attention moves back to those whose names you do know. It would be good news indeed if the colonel should approve of you. If not, it will be very difficult to get on his good side. His good opinion, once lost, will be reevaluated only under the severest of circumstances. The same is true of Lady Eugene, though she is more wont to reevaluate persons after extensive acquaintance. Still, it would not do to get on the wrong side of either of them. You move towards the center of the room, and Anthony Hallwood appears by your side. I'm glad you could come, he says with characteristic quiet mien. I will catch Mr. Roland Grufford for you. A smallish, sharp, middle-aged gentleman scurries in the door then. Pardon, I am late, he says to the room at large. You have never seen him before. You would certainly recognize him if you had, for he looks acutely uncomfortable. Beringed fingers twist and press against each other. His gaze is constantly darting back and forth as if taking the full measure of the room. Antony makes a minute movement. His face shows no sign of his previous apprehension. He has his smooth professional mask on. That is him, he says under his breath. I shall endeavor to get an audience with him. Wait here a moment. He goes over to Grufford, greets him amiably, and gestures back at you. Grufford shoots a brief glance in your direction and looks immediately away again, as if something about you causes him fright. You cannot hear his reply. Something swirls in your gut, wrenches your attention away from the scene at hand into a deeper feeling. Stillness. Ooh. There is something off about Roland Grufford. But what? Do we spend a few moments observing Mr. Grufford? Do we listen to our gut instinct about Mr. Grufford, seeing as it just, caught our attention? Or do we persuade one of the council members to give us information on Mr. Grufford? Any way we go about it, we're going to learn something. I will note that I believe the observation is probably a combination of intelligence and or empathy stat, which we're not super high in on either end. Listening to our gut instinct may be weird sense, which we're also not super high in. And then persuasion is the charm stat, which we're also not super high in. So of the stats that we have, let's see, the highest is charisma currently, but our weird sense is not that, well, we're not great at anything. We're getting there in some things, but we're not great at anything. So 1, 2, or 3 chat. I do, yes, Winter Fairy. Last time we did choose 2, but this time we will get a very different 2 answer because our stats last time were completely different. So um, the count says 3. And gut sense would be in character for a very bold and impetuous gambler. Yes, Con. So we have 1 vote for 3, 1 vote for 2. Chat, please tell me what you think. All right, consensus says 2. The 2s have it. Well, 2s. We will listen to our gut and see what happens. For some reason, Mr. Grufford makes the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. You close your eyes briefly and listen to your body's reactions. His presence makes you feel instantly tense. Ordinarily, these are the signs of a person very much in the habit of lying, someone accustomed to resorting to manipulation to get what they desire. Ooh. The ringing in your ears subsides and you find yourself able to breathe normally again. There are no words to describe the stress. You look over. Anthony Hallwood is beckoning. May I present Monsieur Ash Montague to you? Monsieur Montague, Mr. Roland Grufford. Up close, Mr. Grufford appears even shiftier, constantly checking your expression and Mr. Hallwood's, as if for hints of some deeper meaning. And he keeps glancing back at the door as if he wishes to escape. How do you do? You respond. Very, well, that is to say, you will find me always well, he says. His voice has a nasal ring. It is difficult to discern marks of likeness between this person and his daughter, Danae Grufford, of the luminous liquid dark eyes, or Wren, his nephew, for that matter. Monsieur Montague has a particular matter of interest for you. Someone taps Hallwood on the shoulder and he nods. If you will excuse me. Faced with you alone, Mr. Grufford's pallor lessens, and the jumpiness in his expression turns to a cold, calculating stare. I take it you were not long in Prosper. Not long indeed, although I was raised here. His thin eyebrows shift slightly at this. Raised? Is that so? You were born elsewhere, then? Outside the fold? It is an invitation to give more information about your parents and your background, if you wish to. However, sometimes directness, though less polite, can be more suitable and effective. So, our options are take our time to respond delicately. Note that we are far more bold than delicate, so that is not going to go well for us. Redirect the conversation to our property issues, which is the whole reason why we are here in the first place, is to liquidate the property that we own in Prosper into more mobile funds to return to the city with. We could impress Grufford with well-sounding lies, though we are only slightly subterfuge, so that could go 50-50. We could charm Grufford with a compliment, which we're much better at, or we could investigate Grufford's secret, although our intelligence stat is not that high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 chat, and it looks like 4 is the current one. Yes, we currently do not recall that we were born outside of Prosper, and then moved to Prosper when we were a child. We don't remember anything until we were 11. So, for all we know, we've always been in Prosper. Count is also going 4. 4, 4. All right, the 4s have it. Yes, and yet raised. Yes, we were raised in Prosper. So we are going to charm Grufford with a compliment and see if that gets us anywhere. Ah, but what does that matter when faced with the accomplishments of those who have truly made a contribution to society? You offer with a winning grin. He seems slightly taken aback, but accepts the compliment with flustered ill grace. He levels you with a glassy, intense stare. You cannot quite make out its meaning. Fascinating. Time to redirect this conversation back to the matter at hand. But as we were saying, it is a matter of property I wish to discuss. I understand you have worked within the field in the city. Before my elevation to the gentry, you mean? His gaze is suddenly cold. A fine thing to discuss indeed. You continue. I am in a position of difficulty, as you may know. It is taboo to directly discuss Spina, but on the other hand, everyone is somehow aware of where others stand in terms of influence and power. You have not that glow of wealth that surrounds a few of the very well-placed families. I have, until now, been living in the city. My guardian left me some small property, but it's been nearly impossible to extract from Prosper. I was advised to speak with you on the matter. He rocks back on his heels and taps his hand on his wrist. Ah, well, if it is a matter of commerce, then I suppose I must advise. He considers. You do have one option available to you, which perhaps the good Mr. Hallwood is not aware of or does not wish to directly communicate with you himself, for it stands, shall we say, at the edge. It is not quite overstepping the boundaries which constrain us, if you take my meaning, but it is at the edge. How do we respond? Do we want to hear what he has to say, which will get us some information? Um, do we not want to have anything to do with being to the edge of the boundaries which constrain us? Do we want to hear it to evaluate our options, be a little more open minded, or do we want to draw out the conversation to learn his secrets? So it looks like we have a vote for 3. 1, 2, 3, or 4, chat. 3 again. Looks like the 3s are the consensus, so I want to hear about it and evaluate my options. Go on, you say. If the law is being intractable, it is possible to expedite the legal process by means of hiring a broker. There are certain persons in the city and in other places who are accustomed to make a complete exchange. They accept some part of the risk of the transaction and find another family who would like to move to Prosper and claim a land stake. In exchange, they give you the sum of your wealth in crowns, that is, the currency of the city and all outer lands. You're nodding. This does not seem as complicated as you had thought. He holds up a cautionary finger. This may seem simple, but there is, as with all transactions, and indeed all business, a substantial risk and a heavy cost to conducting the exchange in this matter. It would give you your fortune much more quickly should you choose to accept the risk, but it is not a thing to be undertaken lightly. Is this an opportunity you'd like to explore in the future? I agree, Colin. I agree. He is a manipulator. Things that we already know, pardon me, but things that we already know about Mr. Roland Grufford is that the Grufford family came from the city. Obviously, he was a businessman in the city and become a member of the gentry, aka a landowner, until he came to Prosper. So he bought a land stake. And seeing as he understands the ins and outs of this prospect, it is likely that he went through this process to become a landowner with a land stake in Prosper itself. He's gone through this this process. Therefore, he knows who to talk to set this process up for somebody else who is coming in or going out, really. So that is something that we already have had hints of previous to now in previous chapters. So we could say that this is a very sensible plan and we're in. We could say no, because it is wrong. It is so wrong. There's a reason why getting out of Prosper is a very complicated and complex affair. We could say yes, there's nothing wrong with benefiting from a loophole, or we could say no because we just don't trust him. And that is what we chose in our prior run, the first time we ran through this story. So 1, 2, 3, or 4. Looks like 3 is the starting vote. So chat, let me know what answer do we want to give this shifty, shady gentleman. It looks like the 3s have it. So sure, money's money, it's legal, and it spends outside here, unlike Spina. Yes, you are correct, Trav. There's nothing wrong from benefiting from a loophole. We are a bit of a gambler after all. So yeah, let's go. I should be very happy to undertake such a process, you say. If the law is intractable, it is the duty of every person to take matters into their own hands. Grefford nods, making a strange squinting face. He must be attempting to wink, you realize. Very well, he says. I shall have my agent communicate your wishes to a person of my acquaintance in the city. Nothing to do with me, you understand. It is all through a third party. You agree. A space is clearing towards the table, and judging from the general motion in the room, the meeting seems poised to begin. You hastily thank Mr. Grefford and follow the others to the table. Time for the town. Colonel Ajax rises from his place near the head of the table. Thank you for gathering here, and welcome. He inclines his head to you. To Messer Ash Montague for joining us at Mr. Hallwood's invitation. You nod in response to the curious faces looking your way. The first topic of the day is the problem of wood smuggling. Apparently, there is much more to the lumber tax than you knew, it being such a prized commodity. It is forbidden to cut down any of the trees of the wood. Outside smugglers are taking advantage of the situation. Some council members are nodding, fully engaged with Colonel Ajax's speech, while others appear unsettled. Others still seem to be barely containing their boredom. The council proposes to continue with the taxation and to request that customs guards be stationed around the town in addition to those already on the highways to the city. Large pieces of lumber are difficult to transport, after all, without any visible sign of their presence. There certainly will be a way of halting the miscreants. Roland Grefford's behavior during all of this is puzzling. At times, he looks intently focused. At others, he looks repeatedly towards the windows and the door. So, what do we make of his weird behavior? Is it that we think he's almost afraid of something? That he's almost anticipating something? Or that he's just a naturally anxious person? 1, 2, or 3, chat. What do we think about Roland Grefford's weird, puzzling behavior? Khan has started the vote as 2, that he is anticipating something. Count makes a good point. It is not 3. He doesn't recommend 3. I have another 2 in the chat. Trav wants 1. So currently the vote is between 1 or 2. 1 or 2. The 2s are currently in the lead. So please vote, vote, vote. Is he looking for a way out or waiting for something coming in? What do we think he's doing? The 2s are currently in the lead. Anyone can switch the favor. Oh, now we're locked. 2, 1, and 2. So I believe that leaves Count. You are the tiebreaker. Which way? Afraid or anticipation? Which way do you think? Panic. Two covers both eventualities. That is, yeah, no, you're right. All right, we're gonna go with two. Khan made a very good point, and I'm gonna agree with him. So, as the veto vote, I have called it number two. He's anticipating something. AX places his hands on the table. Excellent, settled. Would you agree? Gentry give murmurs of assent, and the conversation moves on. Now, we come to the next order of business. AX turns to Lady Eugene. They exchange a long look. He folds his hands carefully on top of the table, as if steeling himself for rebuttal. The charter that founded Prosper declares that the marked shall be given certain allowances, but, in practice, most of these are nominal. Most marked families today are expelled from Prosper or forced to take up trade. I submit that perhaps it is time to reevaluate these policies. For what purpose? Asks a gentleman in blue. He looks thoroughly confused. Are not these people allowed to remain in Prosper? Despite jeopardizing everyone, adds a person dressed in pale green. Indeed, a cross-looking lady adds, tapping her fingers on her arms in evident annoyance. This is a touchy topic, apparently. For what purpose shall we risk the good of all those who enjoy our elevated status? To pander to only a few? They have made their bed, let them lie in it. I propose that they be allowed to live near the wilds only. That will take care of the problem quite nicely. No worries, Winter Fairy. Always, always, your kids come first. But if you get rid of the land stake, they will very quickly fall or become lost, another person interjects. It signifies little. They have already transgressed beyond the extent of our noble station, the first gentleman replies. I too vote for moving them nearer the wilds. AX holds up his hand. That is not what I suggested. At present, though they may remain, most often marked families leave Prosper. The sons, for instance. There are, you are right, some at the edge of gentility who, like the farriers, remain, but many opportunities are not available to them. In effect, they are quite cast out from society. It is perhaps possible that these restrictions might be changed. Uproar breaks out. The idea of sharing resources or even making slight allowances for those who have fallen family members is apparently anathema to the most of those present. Lady Eugene looks grim, and you cannot tell Colonel AX's thoughts at all. So, what is our own opinion on this matter? Do we believe that the marks should be wholly removed from society as soon as possible? Enjoy your lurking, Count. Feel free to pop back in whenever you feel like it. But it was nice to have you. Do we believe that the marks should be treated with more compassion than they are at present? Because, they have family members that have become members of the Fallen, which are zombie like gray people that work for the daemons. And, or would we just like to change this? Like, I would like to change this. Do we have our own idea? It looks like two is the popular vote at the moment. And that makes Travs makes it the consensus. So, yeah, Con, you've missed some context in this. So we have the Weirs of the Wood. We have the Daemons of the Wilds, and both of those places, realms, border on Prosper. Prosper was originally a section of the wood that was carved out to make the town of Prosper. And so the daemons, the weir, and the humans all made an agreement, which is what the land stakes are about, and the charter is about, to share the space. The daemons are never allowed to set foot. Yeah, it's kind of a DMZ. The daemons are never allowed to physically set foot on the land of Prosper, but they can run around in conveyances, sedan chairs, and and their servants are the fallen, those who have lost all of their spina, all of the local willed currency. They become servants of the daemons. We are woodbound. because it is an understanding that the reason why spina, the thorns of our will, are a thing at all is because the Weir gave them us that, so that we would not become the fallen of the daemons. So it's a complicated affair, and gentry families that have become the marked are those who have had members of their family become fallen. So essentially, the marked are those who, uh, have very low wealth, very low will, essentially, and so they're on the verge of becoming either fallen or lost themselves. And by lost, it is they wander off either into the wild or the wood and never come back. They're just lost. Period. So, um, there is a section in the charter that says that the marked are allowed to stay as gentry, but they have limited concessions for being gentry and marked. So this is a huge change that, as you can see, is very contested. And so, what is our opinion on it? It looks like everyone wants to be more compassionate to the marked as far, but yes, it's it's safe, air quotes, safe ground, that we carved out from supernatural lands to make our own. The human race likes to expand as much as possible, and Prosper became that expanded territory, which is why coming in and out of Prosper is very kind of a strange thing. And then we have the daemons who want to take that land for themselves, and the Weirs who would like the land back. Thank you very much. It was ours originally. So there's just a sort of a strange mix going on here, and we're the humans trying to figure it out in the middle. But the twos have it. So we believe that the marked should be treated with more compassion than they are at present. Much of the clamor is actually due to the vague terms in which the question was raised. You see a different solution, however. If those with resources helped those at closest risk of falling, it would lessen the burden and make society easier. Right now, although the very established families could fall as well, of course, by loss of spina, the sheer rumored amounts of their spina hoards make that unlikely, while those at the margins are cataclysmically ever closer to toppling over the edge each day. Do you want to suggest a charity project to the council? It would reevaluate how the marked and borderline families are treated. Yes, Con. We are gamblers. We do like opportunities. We came back to Prosper with 9 spina to our name, as in we were borderline ourselves. Thankfully, none of our family members became fallen. They all just died of natural causes. But we were on the verge of being, we could have been on the verge of being fallen ourselves. We have a much healthier 47 now, but it's just healthier. It's not great. So, yes. So what we have is we can suggest a charity project. We can suggest it to everyone right now, the whole council, if we think we have enough influence to get away with it, which I do not believe we do. We can suggest it to one person and let them be the voice that brings this topic up. Depending on who we tell, could actually get it pushed through, or at the very least, start our own following towards that end. Or we could just keep our head down and stay the heck out of this, because this is our first town council meeting since we have returned from the city. Trav says 3, because we're not really planning to stick around. Inuzaku wants number 2, which is, again, if we want to get involved in any of this, is will give us a higher chance of succeeding, since we have not raised our influence enough to really just do it on our own. It's possible to do that in this game by chapter 5, but we haven't pursued that so much. Yes, Con, we do. So I'm gonna show you the stats page. Yeah. So I believe um, the yes would require the influence reputation to be much higher, as possibly as well as our respectable, of which we're pretty still middle of the road here, and the accomplished that may figure into that, but I'm not entirely certain. But when it comes to relationships, which is this section down here, the Weirs and the Daemons, this is how the factions see us at the moment. But all of the people underneath that are people that we know in town, and Colonel AX and Lady Eugene are the two town council members that we know. They both, considering all the stats started out as a straight 50%, they both like us, but they don't like us so much that uh, we could just go up and be like, hey, but we could probably influence one of them to push this through on their behalf and whatnot. But yes, all the rest of these people are people that we know. So Lady Eugenie Wakeforth is Alcindor's aunt. Colonel Ajax was a friend of our guardians originally, which is why he likes us a bit more than Lady Eugene does. And as much as none of the rest of these people at this meeting, these are the two that we care about in this context. So yes, we do actually know enough people to gauge who to talk to here. Just FYI. So currently, it is, I'll suggest it to one person. That is the vote. Or it's between, I'll suggest it to one person and no, I'd rather keep my head down. So 2 or 3, what's the consensus here, chat? Well, Trav, we do have 2 years of memories of being in Prosper, and during those 2 years of memories, we do understand that our guardian was on the council and had a fairly close relationship with Colonel Ajax, and that part of the reason for that was our parents. Like, we have 2 years of remembering that. We're not completely like don't remember Prosper at all. It's just we don't remember our childhood, essentially. Um, so yes, I have 2 votes for 3 and 1 of 2. Actually, I've got 2 for 2 if I take cons to mean 3. So I guess I will have to make the decision. The chapter will go a bit longer if we suggest it to one person. The chapter will go quite a bit shorter if we just decide to not at all. You know what? Let's go with the story. There's more story in the suggest it to one person, and we might be able to finagle our way out of taking responsibility for it. The room erupts in noise as the council members confer among themselves. This is your chance to approach. This is your chance too, to approach one of the more important council members and gain a powerful ally to your cause. For any proposal, there are certain aspects which it is good to emphasize. Depending on who one is talking to, AX values integrity and moral uprightness. Lady Eugene is more disposed to a well-turned phrase, but to be in good standing should appeal to her as well. The success of your scheme at this beginning stage, therefore, also rests upon your ability to effectively communicate it to one of the two. The Council speaks about issues with wood smuggling, how the marked are treated, and changes in protocol for families at the edge of gentility, e.g., the farriers. Here's a chance to propose a new approach that helps the community. In the meeting, you learn an important piece of information about the town's founding and the keystones anchoring the town. There is a pause for refreshment, and your moment has arisen. To whom do you suggest your idea? Now remember, Ajax likes us more already than Lady Eugene, but we could sway either of them. They're both slightly in the positive. Or we could just not suggest it at all, because you guys can overwrite my overwriting of you guys can overwrite my previous vote if you'd like. So Winterfairy says 1. She has started the voting. Please tell me, who do you think we should talk to, if anyone? Trav says 3. We did indeed do 2 last time, but then again, she was already fond of us by the time we reached this point last time as well. 2 votes for 1. Colonel AX seems to be in the lead. I mean, there is more to consider. As I said, we were basically struggling with our wealth previous to this, and we have gambling debts back in the city to pay as well. So falling in Prosper would be really bad for us, although it would get us out of the gambling debt, I suppose. In real life, yes, Colin. In the background of this particular game, not quite as much. It just depends on the relationship plus another stat, like an actual stat, a quality, I should say, um, to get to push things through. So, um, yeah, it's essentially, I think it's your relationship status, your relationship percentage plus the charisma stat, depending on or the principal stat, depending on who you talk to. So, um, the ones currently have it. You are welcome to decide either way. Well, it looks like the ones are winning. So to Colonel AX. I just happen to know the game, Con. Sorry, but I do appreciate you thinking of it as a real life thought experiment. I appreciate that. It warms me to the bottom of my choose your own adventure reading heart. So you catch the Colonel near the bookcase. There is a matter I wish to speak with you about. He turns to you. Yes. You introduce the idea. Of course, anyone can be convinced if one is charming enough, and yet there are certain ways of relating which have rather more success than others with any given person. Ajax values sincerity and moral uprightness. It will, therefore, be more difficult to convince him of your plan using another method of persuasion. So, do we emphasize its moral aspects, which would appeal to him? Do we present it charmingly and persuasively, which we actually have skill in? Or do we present it boldly and with conviction because we are bold AF? All right, Inuzaku, enjoy your lurk. Feel free to pop in again later if you'd like. But thank you for joining me. It was nice to have you. Lurk away. So, 1, 2, or 3? Do we appeal to the moral aspects? Do we try to charm him because we are actually somewhat decent at charming? Or do we present it boldly and with conviction because we are as bold as a bold coffee? Travis started off the vote with a 3. As a reminder, our bold stat is 75% bold, 25% delicate. So we're going to be bold as coffee. Bold as bold coffee. Let's do it. I believe that the marked and families on the edge should be treated better, you say plainly. Colonel Ax's head jerks towards you and he looks thoughtful. Indeed. I would like to propose a philanthropic project. If certain persons were in charge of making sure the marked families were able to cope with their loss and weren't shuttered from society, it would help everyone. The colonel's face softens for a moment into something like a smile. An excellent proposal. If you are at the head of such a scheme, I can support it with equanimity. Very good. He nods, and you are encouraged. It appears you have an ally, and a powerful one at that. But this is unheard of. A person in a stately gray morning coat counters, rising. The marked have their place. Let them keep it, as we keep ours. This changing the order of things, it can come to no good end. Heads are nodding along with these words. You still have work to do if you wish to see this motion passed or your idea put into action. How do you respond to win the council to your side? Do we respond politely and deliberately, which I believe is the charismatic way of doing it? Do we fabricate information to support our cause, which is the subterfuge way of dealing with it? Or do we raise our voice and just get louder? Um, to be fair, our subterfuge has gone up a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that it is going to work. Um, so yes, are we polite and deliberate, as Winter Fairy suggests? Do we fabricate information on the fly and try to convince everyone with lies, or do we just simply raise our voice and shout over them? Tell me your thoughts, chat. I want to know. You'll have to tell me what double down means, Con. Um, 1, 2, or 3, please. Please, please, please. Trav is voting for 3. Winter Fairy's voting for 1. Con, be my tiebreaker. 1 or 3? 3. All right, being bold, we're just going to raise our voice and shout. We're going to scream and shout and let it all out, as the kids may say, or at least the millennials, anyway. Change is necessary, you bellow, startling the council members. Without change, there is no hope of survival. We must move with the times. Your voice is warm and resonant, and you can tell by the nodding words that it is taking effect. We cannot hope to continue into the modern world if we huddle in our houses in fear as our forebears did. The time is now. The room erupts in excited chatter, but it seems that you have made a favorable impression. Another person, a lady in a rose-colored shawl, stands. With respect, Monsieur Montague, there is much you may not understand, and, to be indelicate, there are rumors. You cannot be speaking on neutral grounds. She says, her tone accusing. You wish, perhaps, to have everything under your control, but you are new, Monsieur Montague. You do not know our ways or the needs of the town. It would, perhaps, be better if you were to keep to your own business, since it is so interesting. How do you respond to these pointed accusations? Do we accuse the speaker of corruption, rally our supporters behind us, since we have made some, or verbally attack her and get nasty? So, j'accuse, rally, or get mean? Winter Fairy says rally. Da, 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 da. Under our control. You really don't notice. Yocasta, you can back me up here. When did we ever try to be in control? Trav, I like your style. So that's 2 votes for 2. Looks like that is the way of things unless we get 2 more votes of something else. Chat, please tell me. I mean, that isn't to say we aren't operating off of self-interest, but it would help everybody. It's not just us that we are trying to help, surprisingly. But looks like the 2s have it. So uh, rally the supporters. Here we go. There are many of us who perceive the way things are going here, you counter. I am not alone. There is a murmur of general agreement from those around you. Evidently, you have been speaking for many. Who here stands with me? I do, calls a gentleman in a striped waistcoat. And I, says a lady sitting off to the side. There is no call for such language. Monsieur Montague is quite on the right track. Your accuser looks sour. I only wish to raise a point. She sits down. Evidently, you have won this round. Well, says Colonel AX mildly, shall we put it to the vote? A count is taken of hands. It is soon clear that an overwhelming majority of the room is with you. Very well, says Lady Eugene. We shall change the policy of treatment of the marked and set into motion this charity plan. Monsieur Montague, you are at the head of this project. I shall brook no excuses. This was your idea, and you must see it through. The feeling of winning is, with such support is exhilarating. I shall be happy to do so, you say. The mood of the room shifts to one of cheerful celebration, for the most part, though there are a few dark looks from the dissenters at the back. More than one council member comes to shake your hand and clap you on the back. For a newcomer to town, you are doing exceedingly well in the top echelons of society. It is an occasion to be pleased. Ooh. So I want to see how that has changed our stats. And now we're boned. We're not boned. I actually want to see how that worked out for us. So our intelligence has actually, interestingly enough, gone up, as has our charisma. Our boldness is still very high. Our accomplished has gone up. Our subterfuge went up a little while ago. Our influence is at a nice level. And our respectability actually went up a point, I believe. And our philanthropy has gone up, like a whole 10%. That's pretty darn good, actually. As far as relationships go, yes, I don't have any mods in my chat. I'm a babby streamer. My apologies. So auto mod being a pain in the butt is just going to be a thing, and I will attempt to catch its BS as much as I can. I only have it just so that if something really horrible comes in, I can shut it down. So please forgive my use of the annoyance of automod while I still am establishing myself. But I am keeping an eye on it so that it plays nice. Anyway, so let's see here. Colonel AX has gone up a little bit. Lady Eugene did not, interestingly. I thought we might get them both with that because she would have been favorable of that, but no. And so that is where we stand with those people. I was curious. I miss freedom too, but I also know that there are people who would come in and just be mean to me just because I'm, a female on the internet. So let's you'll have to forgive it for now. And someday when I have established myself and I have mods, I will turn auto mod off and they can deal with that for me very kindly. But until then, we will just have to put up with the algorithm of auto mod. Anyway, back to the story, shall we? You gather your things and prepare to leave the town hall. Grufford's odd behavior lies heavy on your mind. Only Colonel Ajax is still present. Here's the chance to say something about Grufford's odd behavior, but you might risk alienating yourself or causing offense. Pressing too far on forbidden topics also can result in a loss of spina. Do you bring up your unease to the town magistrate? Do we do so? Do we bring it up forthrightly? Do we bring it up but delicately? Though I don't suggest that one. Or do we absolutely not talk about this at all? Which I believe was our choice the first run through. Okay, Con. Good luck in your meeting. Take care. All right, chat. How do we deal with Mr. Grufford's weirdness? Do we tell Colonel Ajax forthrightly, which he might appreciate? Do we try to do it but delicately, which we don't really have a lot of skill in? Or do we just absolutely not again? That is true, Trav. We do want his help, but if it is help that gets us in bigger trouble down the line, perhaps bringing this up now might ward off some bad juju for us as well. Because remember, the lawyers of Hallwood, and Pend will still be doing their job during this time. So Winter Fairy originally said 2, but 1 seems to be the consensus now. So unless any of my other followers lingering in the background have anything to say, we're just going to tell him forthrightly what we have suspect. Colonel, there is something odd about Mr. Roland Grufford. I fear it is hostile magic, you state. The colonel regards you seriously, but your tone and expression make your sincerity clear. That is a heavy accusation indeed. AX glances around. I must think on this, but be assured that I will keep it in mind. You gather your things and depart. So we don't know exactly the outcome of that exchange is, but we will see it in the future, I'm sure. Going home. I am going to grab some water. Please excuse the momentary pause in reading. Must stay hydrated. There we go. Your path takes you again around the curve of the road that leads to the wood. You halt. The memory of that place washes over you, pungent like the scent of fine spices from afar, and curious. If you wish to bargain with the Weirs, or to find out more information about the magic that holds all of you and Prosper, this would be an opportunity to do so, although one that always bears the weight of great risk with it. The wood is dangerous. And at the same time, you have already faced its darkness and survived. Surely you can do so once more, if it is your desire. Do you enter the wood? So, do we eagerly enter the wood? Do we reluctantly enter the wood? Or do we just not pass that gate up and just go home? What shall we do? One, two, or three? Let me know, chat. Happy to hear from all of you. You make a good point, Trav, but we don't necessarily have to make another bargain. We could just go in and like feel it out. This is the decision that we are making here is whether we are looking to explore the magic and or more woodbound sense, more uh, bargains, or whether we are going to avoid it at all. If we're eager, that probably means that we're siding with the Weirs and whatever they're doing. I mean, currently we are doing things for them, but we haven't necessarily decided to side with them full out. We could go in reluctantly and try to feel out things and to better understand our weird sense and the nature of being woodbound and the weirs themselves, or we could just avoid it entirely, which is what Winterberry is voting for here. We didn't do a lot in the wood. Actually, we did nothing with the wood as much as possible last time round. So this is our chance to really explore this side of the story. All right. So it looks like the consensus of those who are active in chat do not wish to risk another moment in the wood. So we will just pass it by and go home. At the edge of the town hall, you notice that someone is following you. You stop and turn. It is a petulant, disheveled figure dressed in threadbare gray. Melantho Ferrier. She looks mostly normal, but in an air of other but an air of otherness around her, and a few twigs in her hair reveal the truth. She has been in the wood. Good day, you greet her. Can I assist you? Melantho's stare is glassy. You have the uneasy sensation that she is looking through you, through flesh and sinew and thought and bone. A breeze stirs, and you hear the creaking of branches, though there are no trees in this part of the square. You have met them, she says simply, and it is unequivocally clear from the jolt of your heart that she is referring to the Weirs. Do not pretend that it isn't so. Talking like this, she is a liability, evidently unable to restrain her speech. If she should expose your transgression to the other gentry, you could lose Spina. And evidently, she has more information than you on the nature of the wood and those that dwell within therein. How do we proceed? Now, as I recall in our last go round, we interrogated her and it did not go well. So we have the option to interrogate her again this time around. We have the option to reprimand her, considering she is speaking out in the open where she could unfortunately ruin us and our reputation. Or we could lie to get more information. Yes, Trav, you make a good point. Our Woodley friends do prefer it if we stay quiet, and Winter Fairy agrees. So, out of all of the active chat members that we have, it looks like reprimand her is the vote, unless somebody else wants to speak up and put in their own 2 cents. While I take a sip. All right, the twos have it. How could you be so careless? Have you no thought for your reputation or that of others? You say, but your words ring false. Melantha does not look at all chastened. Ask your pardon, but clearly does not mean it. You are at a standstill. Melantho turns and departs without another word. You watch her stomp with all the impetuousness of youth until she turns the corner, and then you cannot avoid thinking of what has been said any longer. A line has been drawn, and you stand upon one side of it. The question is that where you wish to be? The rising wind follows you home. End of chapter. Chapter 6, The Picnic. So we have gotten to chapter 6. We are getting to be decently charismatic, and we're not unintelligent. We're still very bold and not really at all delicate. We have a decent a bit of empathy, not the highest, but we're not bad at it. And we're getting to be a little bit more subterfuge than principled. We're just a little bit sketch, just a little bit, just a hint, just a tiny hint. All right, Winter Fairy, give your love to your son from us here in Twitch land, as always. Our health is a respectable 86%. We're not the healthiest we've ever been in our life. We've taken a bit of hit, but not too badly. And we're a bit accomplished these days. A respectably amount of accomplished and a pretty respectable amount of sport. So not the most sporty, not the most, svelte, but we are definitely able to keep up with things. As far as our reputation goes, we're still more respectable than scandalous, so that's working in our favor. And we have a very decent amount of influence now, 72%, pretty good. We're still only slightly dangerous, just a touch. And our Woodbound has been higher, so it is going back down to neutral fairly well. Our weird sense is going up. We have been feeling into the magic a bit, and we know a bit. We're still a babby mage, but we're getting there. And we have decided to be philanthropic recently, so that has gone up a touch too in our reputation. As for our relationships, our relationship with the Wares is pretty friendly. The Daemons are intrigued about us. They've got their eyes on us, but we're still fairly neutral with them. Our dear childhood friend Hippolyta and us are thick as thieves still, and Colonel Ajax has a very good opinion of us at the moment. Lady Eugene is intrigued with us. She has her eyes on us, but in a friendly way, but that's it. Mr. Wren Grufford is our dear love. Miss Danae Grufford is our dear friend, and Miss Eyre Alcindor Wigforth is friendly with us. We haven't quite made a major impression upon them, but at least we get along. And then Mistress Yocosta Smythe is friendly with us as well, so she will speak well of us, or at the very least, she will not gossip about our stuff unintentionally. We have a somewhat more healthy 47 Spina from being woodbound, and yeah, we're not the richest person in town, but we are definitely not on the fence anymore. Thank goodness. So, chapter 6, the picnic. Today is bright and clear. The breeze is apple-scented. You head for a morning stroll and come upon a group of gentry in dog carts with hampers, blankets, and all the trappings of a picnic. The host, a cheerful person you vaguely recognize from the council meeting, waves to you as you pass. "Oh, Miss Eyre Montague, pray join us. We are having a picnic on the far hill. It would be a splendid thing if you would join us." There is, you see, some space in one of the dog carts. With all the well-bred faces turned expectantly towards you, the pressure to join is high. But it is a gorgeous day, and picnicking may, perhaps, lessen the strain of all that is on your plate at the moment. The dog carts leave the main road some ways out of town and head up the far hill, close to the wilds. It gives a kind of thrill to most of the gentry to picnic within plain view of those noxious Damon-ridden lands. The far hill, a picturesque prospect, makes riding in a traps rough work, and the party continues up it on foot. The servants jump down from their posts on the carts and move smartly, setting up blankets and trays of food, while the gentry mill around elegantly, taking in the view. You take a moment to take stock of who is present. Alcindor is here, admiring the view a little ways off, eyes alight. On your left, Danae is helping one of the servants take out a crystal plate from a hamper. The tables and cloths are laid out, with plates of viands, cheeses and cakes, though there are bowls of fresh berries as well. The sunlight warms you. Perhaps this won't be so bad. You look to your left and freeze. Yocasta is present as well. She must have arrived in the dog cart behind you, so that you missed her ostentatious presence. She looks a little too pleased to see you. Who are you happiest to see? So our options are Alcindor, because we've been thinking about them all week since the last time we spoke with them. Danae, who is our friend. We're not happy to see any of these people, which would be rather rude of us to think. We could wish that our dear love, Mr. Wren, was here. We could also wish that our dear childhood friend slash interest, spicy interest, Hippolyta was here. Or we could just go talk to Yocasta, because we've been looking forward to confronting her on whatever it was that she was doing with with Miss Ferrier earlier in the book. So we have options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, Trav, I know, is going to vote for Yocasta because he is, I guess, very intrigued with the town gossip. Goodness, who do I want to talk to? That is the question. Now, if we go with wishful thinking over Ren, we might be able to up our ability to flirt with him later. He is the love interest that chat voted for, I believe, last time, or was it the time before? I don't know. He is the one that we are pursuing in any case. Wishing that our bestie were here would also be pleasant, though, she's always a good time, but she's a mischief maker, as we well know. But I think I'm going to agree with you, Trav. Dealing with the town gossip again, let's see if we can't keep her make her high regard for us higher. She's clearly looking happy to see us. You spot Yocasta immediately. She looks in fine fettle, her skirts starched as ever despite the gorgeous pastoral landscape all around. She's laughing uproariously at something one of her watery-eyed hangers-on is saying. You catch her gaze, and her eyes narrow. A silent, near imperceptible understanding passes between you. One way or another, you will have it out today. There will be a reckoning. Tut tut, coming through. Tut tut, coming through, your host says, waving through one of the servants with a heavy platter, and the moment is broken. Before you can reach the refreshments, Yocasta, flanked by her two cronies, intercepts you. "Are you feeling quite recovered, Miss Eyre?" she inquires in saccharine tones. A glance at her face reveals an unpleasant smirk. A cold ball settles in the pit of your stomach. The sycophant on her right plays her part perfectly, piping in with, "Oh, has Miss Eyre Montague been unwell?" "That is one explanation," Jocasta says in a voice that carries, eyes never leaving your face. "I can think of no other reason for returning from the wood late at night." A hush settles on the company. Then people look away, pretending not to have heard. You can feel the strain of 24 pairs of ears listening acutely for your next words. Jocasta could cause real problems for you if she continues in this vein. If you get the reputation for delving into woodward things, you could lose Spina. For the rules which have made entering the wood taboo apply to being discovered, not the action itself. The founders did not wish that everyone should run willy-nilly to make bargains to stave off the tithe. How do you counter Yocasta's accusation? Oh, Trav, I wish your pet the kitty answer was an option. But the challenging her to a cat fight with handbags at dawn, also, I wish that was an option. However, to go over our actual options, we can call her out. A duel is the only way to handle these pernicious rumors. We could grit our teeth and let it go. She who protests too much just looks the guiltier. Um, we could deliver a sugar-coated insult in return and play at this little game, or we could make conciliatory comment and perhaps look really weak. Now, remember, we are bold, so the dual option may in fact be the way to go for us. It is the bold option. Um, the sugar-coated insult in return, I believe, is the charming option, the charm option, the charisma option. I'm not entirely certain which stats the other two are tied to, but seduce or duel, there is no other choice. Okay, well, number one seems to be what chat has decided, seeing as I have mostly lurkers sitting with us this now. So to duel, let us duel. You regard Yocasta with a cold, unwavering gaze. That is not an accusation that a gentlewoman ought to make. This insult cannot stand. Name your time and place. Yocasta reels back. One of her cronies' mouths drops open. Evidently, this was not the expected reply. After a moment, she responds, however. Done, she sneers. Tomorrow morning in the field near the mill, I will meet you. Now there are open stares from the gentry near you. No one is even pretending to be enjoying themselves anymore. Like it or not, you have caused quite the stir. The dispute has made things uncomfortable. Yocasta stalks off in a huff and is joined by several of her cohorts. They take a close turn around the picnic blankets, muttering vehemently and shooting you dark looks. Dark clouds move in swiftly, heavy with rain. Thunder rolls ominously above the hills, heralding a big storm. I do not like the look of that, one lady says, frowning. You cannot help but agree. The shower hits, and the well-bred atmosphere dissipates into giggles and shrieks. The picnic is bundled away, and there is a mad dash for the dog carts, which quickly fill. Those left behind scramble for cover at the bottom of the hill. Luckily, you have your umbrella, but it is a long trek down the hill into shelter. There are a few trees downhill. You race towards them with the remaining gentry. Who do you look for in the mad dash? Do we look for Alcindor? Do we look for Danae? Do we look for a council member? Or do we not look for anyone? Do we just book it for ourselves? What shall we do, chat? Alcindor, Messer Alcindor Wakeforth, Miss Danae Grufford, a council member to push our own causes on, or do we just keep our umbrella to ourselves and head on down the hill? Indeed, Danae is nice. We are her friend. We are not pursuing her, but we are her friend. We are more friendly with Danae than Elsindor, though. But yes, it looks like Danae is what chat has decided, or rather, Trav has decided, since he's the only active chat member currently. Danae catches your eye, and you both scurry for cover beneath the apple trees at the base of the hill. Now that you are mostly dry, with someone you had wished to talk to, the storm seems not so bad. The patter of the rain makes a pleasant accompaniment to your conversation. You wait for a lull in the storm. This is not so surprising, Danae says dryly. I had heard that almost every time the uh, Everidges plan a picnic, it rains. It is almost as if they had planned it. Soon there is a pause in the rain, and you both dash down towards town. Most of the other gentry have already gone ahead. You see them down the road, their garments flapping in the wind. You take a shortcut down the hill towards the wilds. Steam from the rain has caused a greenish vapor to arise, which shrouds them, lending them a funeral glow. As you round the bend, you come upon a group of thralls. You halt, chilled. There are more than you've ever seen at one time, 12 or 13 in all. There must be. Their grayish countenances are intent upon a spot on the ground, and in their hands are shovels and picks. A chill runs up and down your spine, but it takes a moment to find the reason for it, and then it hits you. There is no daemon, no palanquin, no sharp-spoked carriage with them. They are out daemonless. You've never seen this before, never witnessed the grey pall of the fallen without their overlords. A few of them are holding shovels, but apparently are doing little with them. They appear to be conferring heads together. They're up to something. It occurs to you there must be some restrictions on where the daemons can and can't go, for, in fact, you have never seen a daemon walking on their own 2 feet in town. Always they are carried in bath chairs or vehicles. Always they have the fallen with them. There must have been some rules to control the daemon's movement. The thought is breathtaking. If there are rules governing these interactions, what are they, and can they be evaded? The thralls appear to have finished their conferring towards you. There is a menacing air about them. You exchange a glance with Danae. Her face mirrors your unease. How do you face the fallen? Do we attempt to fight them? Do we attempt to question them? Do we observe them to see if we can't intuit anything else? Do we abandon our companion and run for it? Or do we offer them Spina? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Fight, question, observe, abandon, or Spina. What do we think, chat? Tricky, tricky, tricky. You do have a point, Trav. You do indeed have a point. Our dangerous stat, let's see. So we have a bit of sport quality. Our dangerous is actually at 64%. So we are on the low end, but we do have some of it. I don't think we have. We also have more weird sense than we did in our previous confrontation with these. So I don't think we have our intelligence stat high enough for observation to do anything. Yeah, this is an interesting thing. Okay, so fight them is what you'd like to do. Let's fight. We're bold. Let's do it. Raise your fist and start forward, but trip over your unlaced boot. Humiliation burns your face. The thralls do not laugh exactly, but an odd gutsy snickering meets your ears. They do not pay you much attention, but return to their task, apparently digging something up. You catch a glimpse of a large rectangular object before they stand in front of it, blocking your view. The business with the thralls makes you both you and your companion uneasy. An extra layer of tension has fallen between you that subsides only with time. Both of your hearts are hammering at whatever it was that just took place. Whatever its significance was, it was a danger, nonetheless. Eventually, however, heart beats quiet and talk turns to more ordinary things. The rain and the silence of the road create an intimacy that is rarely to be found in drawing rooms or in public places. Indeed, you two could be the only humans on the earth right now. Danae meets your gaze and smiles. If there is to be conversation, it's up to you to begin it. For all that Danae seems proper and retiring among company, you know that she has a penchant for collecting secrets. It might be a good opportunity to find out some of what she knows. If you have no particular wish to further your acquaintance, there is always the weather or other suitable general topics of conversation to pass the time. Small talk has its uses, after all. And, of course, silence can also encourage a sort of closeness. It is a wonderful day in its own way. After all, why not enjoy that? So, we have an opportunity to flirt with Danae, to make small talk and just be friendly, to ask about her interests, to get to know her better, or to just simply enjoy this silence with good company. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Chat, what shall we do? Welcome back, Winter Fairy. You would like to make small talk and be friendly. Or we could, Trav says 3, ask about her interests. This is a good opportunity to learn more about Danae than we did in our previous run, actually. Um, I think I'm going to ask her about her interests. We could learn something interesting here. We'll see how that works for us. It was lovely to see you at the assembly, you say. The quality of dancing in Prosper has certainly risen since the days when I was sneaking into assemblies to steal candied ginger. Though the level of the dancers perhaps has not, she rejoins a little sharply, and promptly sighs. I do like to dance, she says. I only wish there were not so many people lolling about staring. What are you interested in, then? You ask. She hesitates. I am fond of a good book, and I do enjoy assemblies, but often I would rather be invisible, that I might see and hear rather than be judged. That is my secret dream, she smiles. You do have a particular knack for seeing into the hearts of things, you say, a little teasingly. I imagine that society may be a little confining for you at times. She is staring at you as if you have sprouted branches. How did you know that? That is, I do not know what you mean. It is a fine line you tread. Accuse her of being a busybody, and you might lose the thread of warmth you've built together. But if you can find a way to draw Danae out of the cage she has built for herself, you might gain a useful ally, and perhaps even a friend. How will you reply? Do we give a thoughtful answer? Do we give a compassionate answer, or do we just simply change the subject? What do we think, chat? Thoughtful, compassionate, or subject change, please? Winter Fairy votes thoughtful. Do we have a consensus? All right, we will try for the thoughtful answer. Everybody wishes to know things about everyone else. It's natural, you say. I would never say that you are a busybody. These are entirely the wrong words, and you wince as soon as they leave your mouth. Danae's manner turns frosty. Indeed, I should be sorry to be counted as one, she says. Pray forget we were ever spoke of this. The sky has nearly cleared by the time you walk Danae home. Thank you, Danae says. It has been an interesting afternoon. You nod. The pleasure was all mine. I'm sure I shall see you again soon, she says with a warm smile. Until then, she waits until you give a curtsy of your own before closing the door. The clouds retreat, but do not fully clear. The air is heavy with mist. The stillness is the perfect accompaniment for your thoughts. Now that you've had time in this odd town, how do you feel about living in Prosper? Drat indeed, Winter Fairy. I mean, we're still friends, but we could have been closer. That was a mistaken opportunity, obviously. So, how do we feel about Prosper? Do we think it's stimulating? Do we wish we didn't have to leave so soon? Do we feel at home again? Or can we not wait to get out? Well, leaving seems to be the consensus in chat, so we cannot wait to leave this terrible place. Each to their own. The appointed hour draws near for your duel with Yocasta. If you desire a second, there are only three choices worth having: Ren Grufford, Hippolyta Beaker, or Alcindor Wakeforth. For Danae Gruffer is a known pacifist, and there is no one else in town you might trust with an illegal excursion such as this. Whom shall we ask to be our second? Do we ask our love interest, Mr. Wren? Do we ask our bestie and spicy interest, Hippolyta? Do we ask the friendly Alcindor? Or do we just simply do without a second? I don't know if Wren will agree, but he is as brazen as we are, Winter Fairy. So yes, your vote of one is quite, and we are technically speaking in front of his house. So yes, we are having a duel. We have decided to duel it out with Yocasta because she caught us coming out of the wood late at night. So we have just decided to duel her and let it be known that to say with our skill that which she is wrong. Hippolyta, of course, would enjoy this. In fact, we happen to know that Hippolyta did beat Colonel Ajax at a duel once. Was it a duel or was it archery? It was archery. Sorry, we know that she is inclined to sporty things. But yes, so we have one vote for Ren, one vote for Hippolyta, which means that I have to choose. I'm going to go with Ren because this might give us an opportunity to flirt with him. He is our love interest, and we're also in front of his house, so it would be easy. You call upon Ren in person. This is a delicate matter. Ren seems slightly surprised to be asked upon such a short acquaintance, but when he hears your troubles, his mien is warm. You know what to do, correct? It's simple. You learned it at school, though not perhaps in any of the classes. On the count of 10, both duelists take their paces. The person challenged takes the first turn, and it is usual to delope your shot, to throw it away by aiming into the ground. The situation is still high pressure, and if you can show that you keep a calm head without harming another person, you gain honor. However, this is a tricky thing to manage. You must show that you fear your opponent, that you believe them to be worthy, and so the manner in which you delope counts for a great deal. It does not do to cause offense in any attempt to avert bloodshed. The opponent could then call for another round. Only the foolhardy or those who are very certain of their aim for their opponents. You must make it clear that you do not intend bodily harm to your opponent, but that you consider them worthy of fighting. How dueling works. You aim unto the ground. There is an art to making it look like you are really going to shoot, but not too much. You don't want your opponent to think you're actually too terrible a shot, but that you are honorably settling this without endangering someone's life. However, there is never any guarantee that the other person will do the same. It is traditional, but at the same time, there are real firearms in your hands, and they are loaded. It's a duel with pistol. It's a pistols duel, Trav. We are dueling with pistols, not swords. So if we shoot her in the foot, we aren't risking her life, and we are aiming towards the ground. Yes, I indeed. Achievement duelist. We're gonna fight in a duel. We get the achieve for it. So let's see here. Our sport is 60, but I don't know if that's the stat that's running this. Our dangerous is 67. I think that might be the stat that's running this. Um, yeah. Who our boldness also could be in the mix. And our subterfuge might actually be in the mix in this as well. Costa went down because we are dueling with her, but Ren went up because we asked him. So let's do this. Of course. You find a pair of pistols belonging to your late guardian. Even looking at them gives you pangs of emotion. You present them for Ren's inspection. He takes his time looking them over, but approves of your choice. All in good order. He clasps your hand firmly. Very well, then. You approach the appointed area, a flat meadow near the river. Are we nervous? Are our hands shaking? Are we confident in our skills, or do we just feel empty? Yes. Trav votes confident because being bold is kind of our trademark this run. Winter Fairy, I'm glad you agree. I'm feeling confident in our skills. We can do this. We can totally do this. Yocosta's second, a belligerent-looking person, scowls at you from behind a thick muffler. The ground is still damp from last night's mist. It's your last chance to parlay out of the disagreement. However, at this stage, this is difficult to do without losing face. Your honor depends, above all, on making a good show. Do we call off the duel and concede? Do we shoot into the ground? Or do we aim for a spot near Yocosta but don't shoot her? So, we are not charismatic enough to call off the duel and concede gracefully. That much I absolutely know. I mean, we do have a bit of charm and charisma to us, but I don't think we have enough to get out of this without losing face, and we do not want to lose face. If we shoot into the ground, that is the safe choice. If we feel that our stats are too low to not hit her, 2 is the way to go. But if we are to be bold, if we are to have confidence, we should aim for a spot near her, but not shoot her. So it looks like chat has decided that we are to be bold. We are aiming for a spot near Yocosta, but we don't shoot her. Yocosta's second counts the mark. You aim for near Yocosta, but your hands are trembling. Your hand wavers and you pull the trigger. Sharp pain blooms in your arm from the recoil. Your ears are ringing. Yocosta ducks, but looks very sour indeed. It seems that you really intended her bodily harm. You bite your lip in anticipation of her shot. Your second moves forward, hands outstretched in supplication. Yocosta's second reluctantly moves forward as well. His posture looks impeccable. You cannot hear their words very well, but judging from their gestures towards you and expressions, your second is pleading on your behalf, making out that it was a mistake. Yocosta's second shakes his head and moves back into place. Yocosta, meanwhile, is fuming, face crimson. She draws her gun and shoots precisely, blowing off a corner of your cloak. Her face pales. It seems that the shot was a bit closer than she intended, too, but the message is clear. If you cannot win the game, do not play it. Returning home, head in hands, you rather think that you made matters worse between you and your neighbor. Even your second is unable to offer much in the terms of words of comfort. You did your best, Ren says, several times, as if attempting to convince himself of it. Eventually, the despondency is too much. I'm going, you say. Where? You pause. That is a good question. How will you console yourself? I think we just needed better stats, to be honest. Yocosta is still actually more neutral than angry with us. So she may not, in fact, be an actual problem at this stage, but yeah, our dangerous has gone up way a lot from that exchange, actually. And our scandalous has also gone up. We are no longer more respectable than scandalous. Uh-oh. Oops daisies. And our health has been knocked down a bit as well. But we were bold. So how do we console ourselves from this not this terrible, terrible duel? Do we get drunk? Do we walk home alone, or do we go shopping? Ice cream, says Trav. Yeah, no, we could get some ice cream. I'd be down for that. Although I believe this will be less ice cream and more like clothes shopping, material material goods sort of dealio. Welcome back, Inuzaku. Welcome. So we have just had a duel with Mistress Yocasta Smythe, and we did not do as well as we had hoped. We tried to be confident, we tried to be bold, we did everything we could, and she ended up getting coming out of the duel better than us, sadly, by chance, most likely. So now we have to console ourselves with for our loss at this duel. Do we get drunk? Do we walk home alone, or do we go shopping? I believe Trav has already voted for number 3, to go shopping. So, chat, the rest of chat. What shall we do? Yeah, we've 3 is the consensus. We have got 3. We're going shopping. We are going to console ourselves with new pretty things. I shall go to Mason's and see whether they have any new imports from the city, you say. Wren considers this for a moment and then gives a slight shudder. Each to their own, I suppose. May it do you well. Thank you. I believe it shall. Mason's shop has received a new shipment, and exploring the wares does revive your spirits, if not your pocketbook. Next chapter. End of chapter 6, on to chapter 7. So yes, we have gotten through 2 chapters today. Where we stand at the end of 2 chapters is that we are fairly solidly charismatic. Our intelligence is slightly higher than neutral, so we have a bit of intelligence, but not enough to really really take the intelligence options. We are bold. 73%. We are very much not a delicate person. We do have a bit of empathy, where we have a solid amount of empathy, but it's still low. So we can get away with some empathy choices. Our subterfuge is higher than our principle, so we are more likely to lie or be sketchy than we are to just be forthright, strangely enough. And our health we're still a healthy 71%, but we have been taking some hits. We are just a bit accomplished, a solid amount of accomplishment, but not the most accomplished, and we have a solid amount of sport under our belt as well. As far as our reputation goes, we're still neutral reputation-wise, but we are a bit more scandalous than respectable now, especially with the duel. Our influence, however, is high. We are very firmly influential, and our dangerous is also high. We are a dangerous person indeed. Our Woodbound is slowly ticking downwards back to neutrality. Our weird sense, we've dabbled a little bit in magic, but we haven't pursued it all out. And we have a solid amount of philanthropy under that we are making work for us. As for our relationships, we are solidly in the good graces, though on the low end with the wares. We are now not in good with the daemons at all. We have interacted with their fallen, and they do not have a good opinion of us any further. They do not have a terrible opinion of us, mind you, but they do not have a good opinion of us any further. Hippolyta is still our best, who flirts with us on occasion. Colonel Ajax is firmly in our corner on the council, and Lady Eugene still has her eye in a familiar manner, but is not our friend as of yet. Mr. Wren Grufford. Hi, welcome in, Gaskell Maria. Hi, hello, welcome. We are just wrapping up 2 chapters of Weyrwood, which is a choose your own adventure game by Choice of Games. It is a Regency-style story with a bit of magic and world building involved. And we have just finished up chapter 6, so we are getting into the end game of this story. I was just going over our stats as of the wrap up, but welcome in. Thanks for finding us, and I hope that you stick around for the next chapters, which we will be doing tomorrow. I stream every day, Monday through Friday, I should say, every work day, I guess, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern US time. So, and I stream for a pretty solid 2 hours. So feel free to join us tomorrow. But yes, so as I was saying, um, we have moved on to chat's decided love interest, Mr. Wren Grufford, who solidly likes us quite a bit. His cousin, Miss Danae Grufford, also solidly likes us. We haven't, there is an understanding that we are slightly flirty with her, but we're mostly friends. Messer Alcindor Wakefirth, a person, is friendly to us, solidly friendly to us, but not necessarily our friend as of yet. We have not really done more than have a very tiny conversation with him at this point. And Mistress Yocosta Smythe, our neighbor and the town gossip, is now, I mean, she's almost neutral. We used to have a fairly high, or rather, she used to have a very friendly impression of us, and we have just finished dueling her, and we didn't keep that good impression at all. So we do need to put more work into Ren. We selected before the end of the chapter, we selected the shopping, and he is not a man who enjoys shopping. If we had perhaps picked a different choice, we might have been able to spend more time with him, but unfortunately we did not. So in the next couple of chapters, we should pursue him much more heartily than we have so far. Needless to say, for those who know the game well, we have been enjoying my second run of Weyrwood, and as I said, now that we are at chapter 7, the limits, we will be getting into the end game of Weyrwood and what it all comes about. So, Gaskell Maria, feel free to hit up the VODs. I have restarted this run on Monday's VOD, and you are welcome to see what we have done up till chapter 7, so that when you join us tomorrow, you'll know what's going on. For all of those who have come in stream and are new, all of the follows, I really, really appreciate. I am starting my Twitch career. Is it a career yet? I think this is more a hobby right now, but I'm just starting out, and I really do appreciate your guys' support. So these choose your own adventure games are definitely the thing that I am enjoying doing, and I hope that shows. And I hope that you guys are also enjoying the story with me. So this is going to be my wrap up for today. I do hope that we get into a lot more fun things that we haven't done in this game before in our next few chapters. And thank you guys. You guys are the best. I appreciate you all very much. There's some serious heart hands going on right now that I do not have a camera to show you with. So yeah, tomorrow again at 1, I'll be here and I'll be reading this. And please join me. You can catch my Twitter on my Twitch page. You are welcome to. I always post on Twitter when I'm about to go live as well. So until tomorrow, I'm going to rest my voice so that I can continue this story, and I will see you guys later. Take care, everyone. Bye.